Welcome back, everyone. It is February 6th, 1942, and our continuing battle against the Empire of Japan. Last turn was a bloody day in the air, as our brave pilots from Port Moresby, unfortunately, were slaughtered in droves by the cap from the Japanese carrier task force. However, things are looking up, at least in the beginning of the turn, as one of our American submarines puts a torpedo into a Japanese transport ship unloading at Lae across the New Guinea Peninsula, or peninsula down here in southeastern New Guinea, from Port Moresby. A lot of subs in this area trying to get in among these task forces and carriers, and one manages to make contact. Dungeness tries again, unfortunately misses this time, or his torpedoes were duds. The Dungeness is firing Mark 14s with that 90% dud rate right now. Some night bombing of Palembang, which is ineffective. We're on to, looks like, the naval movement phase, and then the AM air phase. So you may have noticed that there were some... I'll wait for this sound to complete. There were some ships in Port Moresby Harbor. I created some PT boats there, and the reason for that is twofold. One, I'm hoping it will act as a cap trap, so that he sends strike forces into there, and I can chew up his strike aircraft a little bit with all the cap I have at Port Moresby. Also, I'm hoping that by putting naval targets out there, that he will fly naval missions against those task forces instead of a airfield strike on Port Moresby, because that is a very, very overstacked hex right now. Lots of planes and not quite the airfields for them. So if he does do a bombing run, which could happen, I may be cursing myself this turn by even talking about it, it could be pretty disastrous for me. So we'll see how it goes. See if it works out. And I can't tell if this is an actual sweep or if he is a precursor to an actual air raid, the way that sometimes fighters fly before bombers. In any case, it does look like we're doing some damage to these zeros. Yeah, just a sweep. And we trade evenly with those zeros, which is a trade I honestly will take, because those zero pilots are very, very experienced, usually in the 80s or 90s in focus specific starting off. And every one of those that I can get a wounded in action or killed in action on is one that I don't have to face later. Bombing of Manila, that target has shifted from Clark Field down to Manila now. I do have some planes sweeping at Lae. Some skyrockets, see if I can get some kills on these fighters. And I do. No, I don't. I get 1-0, 6 skyrockets destroyed. They just can't cope with the experience of those zeros. Unfortunate. Keeping Miri clear here by doing some sweeping, and we should have some 4-engine bomber attacks on the hex later today. Yep, and speaking of the devil, some B-17s come in to lay waste to that runway. Just want to keep that closed. Doesn't look like any planes there anymore, so we'll switch targets next turn. Little sweeping over Nanning, taking out an Oscar with no losses. Another zero sweep coming in with indecisive either way. B-17s try to hit this landing task force and the light carrier. 2 of them go down, taking out a zero. No hits on his carriers. Already into the PM air phase, so a short morning phase there. A little bombing on my forces in that clear terrain next to Cyan. Catalina's try to fly against that invasion task force. They get handled easily by his cap, and that's it for the turn. Really short phase there. I get shock attacked in this clear terrain. That's going to clean up my troops pretty easily. 6 of them retreated, lots of squads destroyed there. It's unfortunate. Just can't hold against those tanks. They also shock attack this other hex north of Cyan, and I'm going to get handled here too. Just way too much AV for my beleaguered troops to handle. And they'll get pushed out to the north, I'm hoping. Yes, they do. So they'll continue to try to run up north here into this better terrain. Again, lots of squads destroyed. China is not going well for me, as I'm sure you can tell. That's okay, though. I never expected to do well in China. China's not a strong suit for me. And if he takes China, so be it. We'll fight in India. And I feel better about my position in Burma than I do in China anyway. Liberty attack at Pao Tao continues to push my forces aside here, easily defeating my my LCU. I'm surprised it hasn't been completely destroyed or surrendered. And another bombardment attack and ending. It looks like he's actually brought more troops here, and I take a few losses. That's it for the turn. Pretty uneventful. I hope for a little more action around Port Moresby today, but it didn't happen. But that could also be a blessing. It does look like there's a second carrier task force entering that area as well. That is now just south of Rabaul. So with those 2 carrier task forces there, really not much I can do at the moment. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the Discord, and take care, everybody.